Hello, everybody, and welcome back. It's Linda, and we're back here inside my studio. I've got my gigantic medical dictionary that I'm using as an art journal here in front of me. I'm going to turn to a blank page, and today I was thinking of doing a collage slash abstract, and I'm going to do something a little different. I'm going to hold this pencil, my Prang pencil here. It's a 4B, and I'm going to hold it way at the edge, and I'm just going to start swirling and making some marks. And the idea here, different than other times that I've started this way, because this is not new that I'm starting this way. But today, what I wanted to do was, after I do all of this, loop-de-loops and scribbling on the page. By the way, my eyes are shut, and I am just letting the pencil dance across the page. This is important to shut my eyes because I'm trying to make sure that I'm not directing my pencil. Now, after I'm done, I'm going to look at this and see, do I see anything in it? Can I pick out an image? And right now, sitting here, I can see the image that I spotted pretty quickly when I was doing this. I see an elephant. And I see an elephant, not only an elephant, but as I started to draw this, it became an elephant by Salvador Dali. So this is going to be entitled, Hello, Dolly. Yeah, because do you see the elephant? There's the trunk. I saw it as plain as day. I really encourage all of you to try this. Get a pencil and a piece of paper. Hold the pencil way at the end so that you're not tight and it's nice and loose. And close your eyes and just scribble and let the pencil dance across the paper. And when you feel like you're done, stop. And then look at the page. You could turn the page upside down. You can flip it around. Try to find an image in it. And you'll be amazed what you pull out of it. It really is amazing. So I saw this elephant almost immediately. And I decided that, you know what, I'm going to draw my elephant, and I think I'm going to channel my inner Dali. I went to the Dali Museum here in Clearwater, Florida. If anybody lives in the vicinity and has not gone to the Dali Museum in Clearwater, I'm sorry, St. Pete, not Clearwater, in St. Pete, I highly recommend it. I went with a couple of friends. First time I went with one of my friends, and we went specifically because they had a Picasso exhibit. And I was never a big fan of Dali. This was a couple of years ago. And when we got there, we went to the Picasso exhibit. It was fantastic, by the way. If you're not a big fan of Picasso, you will be if you go and see him in person. The pieces, not the man, obviously. It really is just astounding when you look at art in real life. So I encourage you to go to museums if that's at all possible for you. Anyway, back to Dali. So after we went to the Picasso exhibit, you know what, let me jump in here real quick. I drew out my elephant, and now I'm pulling out my scrap box full of bits of paper that I have used in many, many pieces beforehand. And I'm just going to sort through them and see where I want to place them. And that's basically what I'm doing. I got my basic elephant drawn, and now I'm just going to play around with the pieces of paper, you know, where I'm going to place them. And I'm not gluing anything down yet. I am going to use my matte medium gel again as my adhesive. You could use Mod Podge. You could use a glue stick. Anything that's going to dry clear and that's good on paper, you could use. You don't have to use the matte medium gel. I prefer it, but you don't have to use it. And a glue stick would work just as well. You know, it's okay. Okay, back to my Dali story. So after we went to see the Picasso exhibit, we were at the Dali Museum. So of course we were like, well, we can't not go across the hall and see Salvador Dali's work. So we did. And I have to say, I was blown away. The man was a genius. He truly was. He had some pieces, well, all of the pieces were fascinating to look at, and there was a ton of symbolism in his work, a ton of symbolism. So much biographical and autobiographical material in his works. They were just phenomenal to look at. But what I found to be genius was the way he does his, I'm going to call them morphing paintings, where you're looking at a painting and you see one thing, but if you look hard enough and you read the title, all of a sudden the painting changes and now you're looking at something completely different. It literally morphs in front of your eyes. There's a particular painting I'm going to reference. It was The Disappearing Bust of Voltaire. I'm pretty sure that's the title. The Disappearing Bust of Voltaire. And you're looking at the painting, and it is a painting of some figures. It looks like in a cave, kind of. And the way that they are positioned, you see the three figures, you see the cave, and in the distance there is space behind them, behind the cave opening or this alcove opening. And, you know, you read in the title, it says The Disappearing Bust of Voltaire. Okay, where is Voltaire? Where is the bust? Well, just keep staring at it long enough, and all of a sudden those three figures become the eyes, the chin, the nose, and now there is a bust, a sculpture of Voltaire in front of you in the painting. And nothing else exists but that and the background. It was astonishing. There's another one called Gala Overlooking the Mediterranean, Contemplating. I'm going to have to write down the entire title because I cannot remember it. But it turns, you know, it's a gigantic painting on a wall. I mean, it's huge. It takes up the whole wall. Excuse me. It's in a portrait format, and it's of his wife Gala from behind, looking out on the Mediterranean. There's a Jesus on the cross, but he is kind of floating horizontal, and it's very foreshortened, so his head is towards you and his feet are away from you, and he's kind of floating above Gala's head, but she's looking out of a window onto the Mediterranean Sea. And there is this tiny little digitized, pixelized corner in the bottom left of Abraham Lincoln. So the story goes that Dali was looking at the Time magazine with this image of Lincoln. There was a pixelized image of Lincoln, and he was inspired. And I'm not sure if they said that he actually used the cover of the Time. I think it was Time. I'm not sure if the actual Time magazine is collaged onto it or if he just recreated it in the bottom of his painting. So it's a beautiful painting, right? And that's what you're looking at. Well, when you walk away from it, oh, I don't know. I want to say they say 40 meters but I'm not sure if that's the right number. But if you walk away 20, 30 feet from it and turn around and look, it is no longer a picture or a painting of his wife from the back, nude, from the back, looking out on a out of a window onto the Mediterranean with Jesus floating above him, her on a cross. It is now a gigantic portrait of Abraham Lincoln. Yes, yes, indeed it is. It was fantastic. And when you are there, they give you like a convex mirror. Somebody walks around with it, and you can stand with your back to the painting, and that way you don't have to have that much distance between you, and you look at the painting over your shoulder through the mirror, and it gives you that distance, visual distance. Incidentally, this is how I paint sometimes. I will be painting because my studio isn't gigantic. And if I have a painting up on a wall and I need to, something is not right with it and I need to see what's going on with it, I want to critique it, I will put my back to the painting, take a mirror and look at the painting through the mirror. And I tell you, immediately, all of my compositional mistakes are visible. All of my drawing mistakes are visible immediately. I know exactly what is wrong with the painting because I've got that distance, that visual distance. By using a mirror, I'm kind of doubling or tripling the distance I have from the painting. That's what the effect is when you walk away from this particular painting. I want to say it's Gala looking out of a window, overlooking the Mediterranean, contemplating something. It's a very, very long title. I will insert it here somewhere. It's fantastic. There was another one called The Hallucinogenic Toreador. And again, it's a painting of this. You see a bunch of Venus de Milos, the big sculpture. There's maybe 7 or 8 of them in a curved row, and they are receding. So they're getting smaller from to the distance, with a little lake, and you see somebody floating on a lake, small, and there's a big like cliff, and there's bees and ants. Bees play a big part in a lot of his art, symbolic. Ants also. And when you're looking at the painting, you see all of those elements. And then all of a sudden, you stare at it long enough, the Venus de Milos, one of them becomes a tie, and there's the mountains or something in the background becomes the matador's hat, and then one of the Venus de Milos becomes like part of the cape on the matador, and then the cove or cliffside becomes the bull, and it all of a sudden becomes a matador and a bull. It's unbelievable. If you have the chance of being in St. Pete in Florida, and you have a day to spend, not even a day, an afternoon to spend, go to the Dali Museum. It's unbelievable, his works. They really are just phenomenal. I walked in there, my Picasso fan, as a Picasso fan, and I walked out of there loving Salvador Dali, loving him. Could not get enough of him. I've been back to that museum 3 or 4 times. I love his work. It's unbelievable. I mean, you see the melting clocks, and you see all of that. And it's fantastic to see them all in person. All art in person is just unbelievable. But wow, wow, wow. It was really, really phenomenal to see his work, his morphing paintings. I'm going to call them morphing paintings. I have to look it up and see what they actually are called. It's just astounding. So back to my elephant. Dali had a couple of paintings that had elephants in it, and they would be carrying these big ornate things on their back. Like I guess it's like the way that they transported people, and they look like big bird cages to me. But his elephants were really cool looking. They were very, very, they had elongated legs. They were very majestic. So I don't have the, I mean, this isn't exactly what an elephant that Dali would have painted looks like. It's my nod to him. When I started to draw it, you saw that I wrote Dali because it reminded me so much of the Salvador Dali elephants. When I was in St. Pete at the Dali Museum, I bought a little, I think it was an ornament, or it might have been a keychain, a beaded keychain, and it was Dali's elephant. And I also bought something else that was the elephant. I don't know. I gravitate towards elephants. I don't know why. I'm not really sure. I mean, elephants are so cool, aren't they? They are really a cool elephant, a cool animal. All right, back to this painting. So I am using a lot of neutrals in the elephant. And right now I haven't really begun anything in the background behind the elephant. I'm trying to work on that ear. I feel like it's just like jumping off the page at me right now, and I'm trying to tone that ear down. I also needed to bring it up a little bit higher on the head. I don't know. That, and I am just going to work to fix that. I'm also noticing that the trunk is pointing downward, and I know that there is a feeling that an upward trunk is, keeping the luck in it. Is that right? Or is that a horseshoe that you're not supposed to have facing downward? I might have gotten those superstitions crossed, but I am going to add a little upward hook to the elephant's trunk. I want to fix that. All right, moving along. I added a neutral ground there, as you see, and I'm working on that ear feverishly, trying to get that ear to be to my liking. Tone that down a little bit. I'm also going to change the blanket that I have on the back of the back of this elephant. It ended up reading as a flag, an American flag. It was not my intent, and it does not relate to anything else that I put down in this painting. So I really wanted it to be, I don't know, I had in my head something completely different, very more mosaic-ish, and I did not translate that the way I wished to have translated it. So the blanket on his back is going to be changed substantially. And it's unfortunate because I do like where the stars are. That was like a very dark khaki color, but it's reading as blue and white, a field of stars on blue. It looks like the American flag. And that wasn't something that was intentional. And while I love the American flag, it's not working in this painting at all. So I'm going to just change that out. Yeah, I am trying to shape that tail a little bit. And I'm using negative space to get that tail to my liking. I don't want any real straight edges. I don't want any real, what am I trying to say? I wanted to kind of have broken lines. That was an envelope that I just took. Don't throw away envelopes. Look inside. The patterns inside of an envelope, really nice. Some of them. I really enjoy it. So I'm using some of that envelope pattern for the sky. Excuse me, or the background, which I'm calling the sky. And my elephant is coming along. So here's some more painted paper, my collage paper, and I'm just going to keep working my way around the elephant. I end up bringing in my favorite complementary colors, blue and orange. I really wanted, when I looked at some of the Dali works, after I started doing this, I started to look up some of his works with the elephant in it. And he had a lot of like really fiery, orangey red backgrounds. And I really wanted to capture that. So by the time that this is ending, when I finish this, there's going to be a big shift in the background. And I really love it a lot. So I'm going more towards that reddish orange or orange red. No, reddish orange, I'm going to say. I'm sticking with reddish orange, that tertiary color. Yeah. I also am going to bring out some stencils because I want to add some more texture and elements. It's kind of, when I finish this, it's going to kind of flatten the space a little bit. Like right now, the way that the elephant is up against the background, I'm having distance. That white that I haven't touched yet is being pushed backwards. Here I am just explaining. Here I am pointing out that, oh wow, no, that blanket's not working. I need to cover it and keeping it with the rest of the painting. It's a shame because I really liked the way that it came out. It just didn't work. So there's a lesson to learn. When I used to teach adult ed, here was a lesson I would teach. I would tell the students. When you're painting something and you're at this kind of stage where it's not anywhere close to being finished, try not to paint yourself into a corner. And what I mean is, when you are painting and you bring something to its completion in one spot and you love the way that came out, and then you start working the rest of the painting, because everything is relative, right? Because if you lay something down in one spot on the painting, it's going to change the way something else in the painting looks. Same thing with collage. I put down a piece of paper somewhere in this collage, it's going to change the way something else looks in the collage. So I'm going to use the blanket as an example. I did that blanket on the elephant's back. I loved the way it came out. Unfortunately, as I started to build the rest of the painting up, or the rest of this collage up, it didn't relate to anything else in the painting. So just because I liked it, and I'm sorry that I had to cover it, I needed to cover it because it just did not work with the rest of this picture. Excuse me. And when I would teach this lesson, it would be, don't get so hung up on one little spot of your painting that it makes you fail everywhere else. Because I was, I could have spent hours and hours trying to make that blanket work. And that would have overworked everything else in this. So it was prudent of me to say quickly, you know what? It's nice. I like the way the paper's laid together. I liked the way it looked, just not in this picture. Let me cover it, and then I can move on. And as soon as I covered it, I was able to move on. So I've got my orange and my blue, two complementary colors, which I love together. And that orange is going to relate to the background. The blue is going to relate to the background. And I will be able to tie them together. The other way, if I had kept it, I would have been working and working and working and trying to make the rest of the painting fit that one little spot in the painting instead of the other way around. Let me work the whole painting as a whole and get it all to come together the same at the same time. I'm a big proponent for working the whole thing at one time. I've seen people, artists or creators, start in, at the top of their page, top of their substrate, and just work their way down. So they're working from furthest to the forward. And it comes out beautiful. I don't know how they do it, but they work from top to bottom or bottom to top. I've never been able to do that. I need to go here. I need to go to the background. I need to go to the foreground. I need to do the midground. I need to go back to the background. I'm constantly pushing and pulling. I'm putting something down and it pulls me in one direction. I put something else down, it pushes me in another direction. And I like that. It's more energetic for me, or energizing, not energetic. I'm not doing push-ups over here. It's more energizing for me. So that's the way I work. And now I'm happier with the way this is coming together. I will tweak it, of course, many, many times. And when I pull out my stencils, that will help me get like that, almost like a graffiti effect. I'm going to put dots in this also. I pulled out the dots stencil, and that was another homage to Dali. Because if you happen to Google the hallucinogenic toreador, he has a lot of dots, which some of them morph into like flies. They end up with wings on them. But so this was my homage. The dots that I put in here are going to be my homage to Dali. So this whole painting, when I sat down at the very beginning, all I thought to do was let me scribble into it and let inspiration happen. And it did, happily, thankfully. Doesn't always happen that way. I mean, how many times have you sat down to draw something and you do it and nothing comes of it? It just, like, one of the episodes I had, I finished the piece, and by the time I was done, I was like, all right, it's okay. Not everything could be a masterpiece. Well, this certainly is not a masterpiece, but not everything is going to be something that, yeah, I want to throw that in a frame. No, not everything wants to be put into a frame, or I want to put it in a frame. But here is the glory of working in an art journal. I can turn the page and guess what? Start again. And like I've said many, many, many times, it's never a failure to me. A failure would imply that I'm giving up. That's what a failure to me implies, that I'm going to give up. I'm not going to continue painting anymore. No. It could be mistakes that I've made, but more importantly, these are learning lessons. This is a lesson for me. Yeah, you learn from your mistakes, hopefully. Otherwise, it was a waste of time. It was a waste of energy. So I am always learning, even from myself. When I do these pieces and then I look back on them to do this voiceover, I am looking at them from a whole another point of view. Like, there are certain times when I'm doing a video and I'm doing the voiceover and I'm like, oh my goodness, why did I do that? I loved it just the way it was. But in the moment, I didn't. There's another thing. Maybe stop midway, come back another day, and you'll have a new direction. Okay, I pulled out my paints, my Nova paints. I've got the Pyro Red. I'm going to be using the Cad Yellow Medium. And I've got some black and white. I definitely squeezed out white. And I'm just amping up that color. I really wanted to bring it out. So the paper, I laid it down. It wasn't vibrant enough. And I decided, let me bring in that orangey red. And yeah, much, much happier with that. That makes me happy to see those colors. I love yummy, juicy colors. Don't you? I know. And my fingers have to go in it, of course. I'm always getting covered in paint. So neutralizing with a little bit of white. Remember, white is going to dull everything down. It cools it down, it dulls it down. I might have dulled that down a little too much. Don't worry, I bring it back. I do bring it back. Remember, I'm looking at the finished product in front of me right now. I know that I'm bringing that back. And this little elephant, he's looking kind of cutesy to me. So I will be working more on him. And again, I'm going to add that hook on his trunk. Working on some background. I'm mixing green using yellow and black. Yellow and black make a really beautiful green. You should try that. And you could get, adding white to it, adding a different yellow. Like this is cad yellow medium, so it's a very warm yellow with the black. So if you used a cool yellow, like a lemon yellow, you'd get a completely different green. You don't always have to use blue and yellow to make green. Black and yellow make a fabulous, fabulous green. Okay, I work on his trunk so much, and it really, I ruined him. I think I ruined his trunk at one point, and then I have to bring it back. Okay, I needed to tone that ear down. That ear was just kind of jumping off the page. He still is jumping off the page. It's kind of a big element in here, but I did tone it down a little bit, and I am going to tone it down even more. Okay, I might turn on a little bit of music right now so that you could just watch me paint a little bit, and then I will come back in with some stencils, and then I'll be back. here I am fine tuning. I added all of that stenciling. I added it in black and I added some numbers in white. I'm loving the graffiti nature of it. I kind of like it. That one piece of paper there with the 3 circles, I'm leaving it there while I tweak here and there because I'm deciding, do I want it there or don't I want it there? I end up gluing it down because I do like the look of it right there. I don't know. It fell onto the paper, or I placed it there, or I saw it and I was like, you know what? Let me see. Do I like that? I do. And I just didn't know where I was going to put it. And I settled on right there, right there. So this elephant, my homage to Salvador Dali, the magnificent Salvador Dali, is done. All that's left is a signature. I hope you enjoyed visiting me here today, and I hope you enjoyed watching my process from beginning to end. Who would have thunk that I'd end up with a Salvador Dali, an homage to him? I hope I see you again real soon. Hit the like button, subscribe, do all those things, and I'll see you next time inside my studio.